Seoul burns in neon and rain the night Selen Adami's world collapses. Midnight. Visa expires. 6 years building herself as an underground artist in Korea, about to vanish. One immigration order threatens to erase everything and drag her back to Lagos with nothing but broken dreams. Desperation pushes her toward the last man she should ever call, Tai-Jin, Korea's most feared mafia boss. He needs a wife to protect his crumbling empire. She needs salvation. The deal is simple.
The rule is deadly. Don't fall in love with me. But some promises are made to be shattered.
If you're hooked, drop a like and comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. Now let's begin. The rain hits Seoul like punishment. Selen Adami stands outside the immigration office in Yeouido, staring at the rejection notice clutched between her paint-stained fingers. The paper is already bleeding ink from the downpour, but the words remain clear enough to destroy her. Application denied. Departure required within 72 hours. 72 hours. 3 days to pack 6 years of her life into suitcases and disappear. She doesn't move. Rain soaks through her denim jacket, plastering her braids against her shoulders. Around her, the city pulses with its usual chaos. Businessmen shouting into phones, taxis honking through gridlock, street vendors hawking steaming tteokbokki beneath plastic tarps. Seoul doesn't care that her world just ended. Seoul never cared about her at all. Selen finally forces herself to walk, her sneakers splashing through puddles as she heads toward the subway. Her phone buzzes in her pocket. She ignores it. Probably her landlord demanding next month's rent she can't pay. Probably her gallery contact asking about paintings she'll never finish. Probably someone else she's about to disappoint.
The underground station swallows her whole. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The platform smells like wet concrete and desperation. Selen leans against a pillar covered in K-pop advertisements and tries to breathe.
6 years ago, she arrived in Korea with nothing but a tourist visa and a backpack full of brushes. She was 22, broke, and stupid enough to believe talent mattered more than paperwork. Lagos felt like a cage she'd never escape. Her father's debts, her mother's endless criticism, the suffocating weight of expectation she could never meet. So she ran, bought a one-way ticket and convinced herself Seoul would be different. For a while it was. She found work teaching English under the table, slept on couches and studio floors, painted whenever she could steal a few hours of silence. Her work started appearing in underground galleries in Hongdae and Itaewon, abstract portraits of displaced souls searching for home in a city that would never claim them. Critics called her style haunting. Collectors started remembering her name. Selen Adami, the Nigerian painter who turned loneliness into art. But the visa situation always hovered like a knife above her throat. Multiple rejections, lawyer fees she couldn't afford, immigration officers who looked at her passport and her face and decided she didn't belong here. Now the knife finally dropped. The train arrives in a screech of metal. Selen squeezes into the packed car and grabs a pole. Her reflection stares back from the window, dark skin glistening with rain, exhausted eyes, lips pressed into a hard line. She looks like someone who's been fighting too long. She looks like someone about to lose. Her phone buzzes again. This time she checks it. A text from Jisoo, her only real friend in Seoul. The message is simple. I heard. I'm so sorry. Call me if you need anything. Selen deletes it without responding. What's Jisoo supposed to do? Marry her, bribe immigration, wave a magic wand and conjure a work visa out of thin air? No, Selen is alone in this, just like she's been alone in everything else. The train jerks to a stop at Gangnam Station. Most passengers shuffle out. Selen stays rooted, staring at nothing. Gangnam. The district where Korea's elite live, work, and pretend poverty doesn't exist just a few subway stops away. Glass towers, luxury boutiques, black sedans with tinted windows gliding past like sharks. And somewhere in those shadows, Tai-Jin. The thought arrives unbidden, unwanted. Selen tries to push it away, but it keeps circling back like a vulture. Tai-Jin, the ghost of Gangnam, Korea's most notorious mafia boss. She met him 2 years ago during the strangest night of her life. A charity event in Yangpyeong, deep in the countryside. Some wealthy nonprofit hired her to paint live during their fundraiser, a gimmick to impress donors. Celine showed up expecting champagne-drunk executives and fake smiles. Instead, she found Tai-Jin standing alone near the back of the event hall, watching her work with unreadable eyes. He didn't introduce himself, didn't speak at all for the first hour, just stood there in a perfectly tailored black suit, hands in his pockets, expression carved from stone. Celine tried to ignore him, but his presence felt too heavy, too deliberate, like he was studying her the way she studied a blank canvas before deciding what it could become. Finally, she broke, turned to face him. You planning to stand there all night, or are you actually going to say something? The corner of his mouth twitched, almost a smile. Almost. Your work is good. Thanks. You want to buy a piece? No. Then why are you staring? He tilted his head slightly, considering her. You paint like someone running from something. The observation cut deeper than it should have. Celine gripped her brush tighter. And you stand like someone hunting. That time he did smile, cold, dangerous, beautiful in the worst way. Careful, I don't usually let people read me that easily. Then maybe you should stop staring at strangers. He handed her a business card. Simple black rectangle, no title, just a name and a phone number. If you ever need anything in Seoul, call me. Celine took the card out of reflex, then immediately regretted it. She knew who Kang Tai-Jin was. Everyone in Seoul's underground knew. The man who controlled half the city's illegal gambling. The man police couldn't touch. The man rumored to have buried enemies in construction sites across Gangnam. She threw the card away that night, but she still remembered the number. Now, sitting on the subway train with a deportation notice in her bag and 72 hours until her life implodes, the memory of that number feels like both salvation and damnation. Celine pulls out her phone. Her hands shake as she opens a new message. She types the number from memory, then stares at the empty text field for a long time. What is she even supposed to say? Hey, remember me? The painter you met 2 years ago? I'm about to get deported. Want help? No, too desperate, too pathetic. But what other choice does she have? She deletes the draft, starts again, deletes again. Around her, passengers come and go. The train rattles through tunnel after tunnel. Celine's vision blurs. She doesn't realize she's crying until a tear hits her phone screen. She wipes it away angrily. She didn't survive 6 years in Seoul by falling apart. She didn't claw her way out of Lagos by being weak. She's Selen Adami. She's a fighter, even if this fight feels impossible. The train pulls into her stop, Mole, a gritty neighborhood full of metal workshops and cheap studios. Celine steps onto the platform and walks the 3 blocks to her apartment in silence. Rain still falls. The streets smell like rust and fried chicken. Her studio is a shoebox. 1 room, mattress on the floor, canvases stacked against every wall. The largest painting, still unfinished, dominates the space. It shows a woman drowning in a sea of city lights, her hand reaching toward a surface she'll never break. Celine painted it during a panic attack last month. She hasn't touched it since. Now she stares at it and sees herself. Her phone buzzes. Another text. This time from an unknown number. I know you're in trouble. Celine's heart stops. She reads it again. Again. A second message arrives. Meet me tomorrow night, Hanam-dong. I'll send the address. No signature, no explanation. But she knows exactly who it is. Kang Tai-Jin. Somehow he knows. Somehow he's already 10 steps ahead. Celine sits down on her mattress, phone clutched in both hands. Part of her wants to delete the messages and pretend this isn't happening. Run back to Lagos with whatever dignity she has left, accept defeat. But another part, the part that survived this long against every odd, refuses. She types back before she can stop herself. Why? The reply comes immediately. Because I need something too. It gets. The address Tai-Jin sends leads to a restaurant in Hanam-dong, one of Seoul's wealthiest neighborhoods. Celine arrives exactly on time, wearing the only decent clothes she owns. Black jeans, a clean white blouse, her favorite leather jacket. She braided her hair earlier, then unbraided it, then braided it again. Nerves. The restaurant sits tucked between luxury high-rises, its entrance marked only by a small wooden sign in Korean. No English, no tourists. Celine pushes through the door and immediately feels out of place. The interior is all dark wood and soft lighting. Private booths line the walls. A waiter in a crisp uniform intercepts her before she takes 3 steps. "Reservation?" he asks in Korean. "I'm meeting someone," Selen replies in her broken Korean. Kang Tai-Jin. The waiter's expression shifts instantly. Fear. Respect. He bows slightly. "This way." He leads her through the restaurant toward a private room in the back. Every instinct screams at Selen to turn around and leave. This is insane. She's about to sit down with a mafia boss and negotiate what? Her soul? The waiter slides open a door and steps aside. Inside, Kang Tai-Jin sits alone at a low table, pouring tea. Like this is a normal dinner between normal people. He's dressed simply, black turtleneck, dark slacks, but wealth drips from every detail. The watch, the posture, the way he doesn't even look up when she enters. "Sit," he says quietly. Selen sits. The door closes behind her. The silence that follows feels suffocating. Tai-Jin finally raises his eyes. They're the same as she remembers. Sharp, dark, impossible to read. He studies her for a long moment before speaking. "You look terrible." Selen almost laughs. "Thanks. Really helping my confidence here." "I'm not here to help your confidence." He pushes a cup of tea toward her. "I'm here to offer you a solution." "To what?" "Your visa problem." Selen's fingers tighten around the cup. "How do you even know about that?" Tai-Jin leans back slightly, expression unreadable. "I know everything that happens in this city, especially when it involves people I remember. You met me once, 2 years ago, and you made an impression." The words hang between them. Selen doesn't know how to respond, so she drinks the tea instead. It's too hot. Burns her tongue. She doesn't care. "What kind of solution?" she finally asks. Tai-Jin folds his hands on the table. "I need a wife." Selen chokes on her tea. "Excuse me?" "Not a real wife, a legal one. Temporary." She sets the cup down carefully, trying to process what she's hearing. "You're asking me to marry you." "I'm offering you a marriage contract. In exchange, I'll handle your visa situation." "Why?" Tai-Jin's jaw tightens. For the first time, she sees a crack in his perfect composure. "I'm dealing with complications. Financial prosecutors are targeting my assets. If I want to protect certain holdings, I need to present a stable image. A wife provides that. There are thousands of women in Seoul who'd marry you tomorrow. Why me?" "Because you're desperate enough to say yes. And because you're not Korean, which makes you perfect for what I need." He pauses. "You have nothing to gain by betraying me. You just want to stay in the country and keep painting. Our interests align." Selen stares at him. The logic is brutal, efficient, completely detached from anything resembling human emotion. This isn't a proposal. It's a business transaction. "What's the catch?" she asks. "No catch. You marry me. You live in my home. You attend events when required. You play the role of my wife convincingly enough to satisfy immigration and financial auditors. In return, you get permanent residency, financial security, and the freedom to focus on your art. For how long? 2 years minimum. After that, we divorce quietly. You walk away with enough money to live comfortably wherever you want." It sounds too good, too clean. Selen knows better than to trust clean deals. And what do you get? Legal protection, public legitimacy, a shield against prosecution. That's it? Tai-Jun's expression darkens. There is one rule, non-negotiable. Here it comes, the real catch. Selen braces herself. Don't fall in love with me. She blinks. What? I'm not interested in emotional complications. This is a contract. We're business partners, not lovers. You live in my home, but you stay out of my life. No questions about my work. No expectations beyond what's required for appearances, and absolutely no romantic attachment. The absurdity almost makes her laugh. You think I'd fall in love with you? I think desperate people make desperate mistakes. His voice drops lower, colder. I've seen it before. Someone gets pulled into my world, mistakes proximity for intimacy, and ends up destroyed. I won't let that happen again. There's something raw beneath his words, something that sounds almost like guilt. But before Selen can dig deeper,
Tai-Jin's mask slides back into place. Those are the terms, he says. You have 24 hours to decide. Selen sits back, head spinning. Marriage. Permanent residency. Financial security. Freedom to paint without worrying about rent or visas or deportation. Everything she's fought for, handed to her on a silver platter by Korea's most dangerous man. All she has to do is live a lie. What happens if I say no? She asks. Tai-Jin's expression doesn't change. You get deported in 72 hours. You go back to Lagos. You start over with nothing. And if I say yes, you become Mrs. Kang. You enter my world, and you never leave until I say so. The weight of that statement settles over her like concrete. This isn't just about a visa. This is about stepping into a life she doesn't understand, surrounded by dangers she can't predict, tied to a man who treats human connection like a disease. But what choice does she have? Selen stands. I need to think.
24 hours, Tai-Jin repeats. He slides a card across the table. Call this number when you decide. She takes the card and walks out without another word. Chap. Selen doesn't sleep that night. She paces her tiny studio, staring at her unfinished paintings, trying to imagine what her life would look like if she says yes. Living in Tai-Jin's home, pretending to love a man who explicitly forbids her from actually loving him, playing wife to a criminal. But then she imagines the alternative, Lagos, her father's debts, her mother's disappointment, the suffocating weight of failure crushing her until she can't breathe. At 3 a.m., she picks up her phone. The text is simple. I'm in. Tai-Jin's reply arrives 30 seconds later. Someone will pick you up tomorrow at noon. Bring only what you need. Everything else will be provided. No congratulations, no reassurances, just cold efficiency. Selen lies down on her mattress and stares at the ceiling until dawn breaks. Bambok. The car that arrives is a black Mercedes with tinted windows. The driver doesn't speak, just opens the door and waits. Selen climbs in with one suitcase and her art supplies. The car pulls away from Mole, leaving her crumbling studio behind. She watches Seoul blur past the window, familiar streets she's walked 1,000 times, neighborhoods that never quite felt like home. Now she's heading somewhere even more foreign. The drive takes 40 minutes. They leave the dense city center and climb into the hills north of Gangnam. The road's narrow, trees thicken, walls appear, high concrete barriers topped with security cameras. Finally, they reach a gate. Massive, steel, guarded by men in dark suits who nod the car through without question. Beyond the gate, a mansion rises from the mountainside like something out of a historical drama. Traditional Korean architecture, curved tile roofs, wooden beams, stone pathways, but massive, imperial. The main Hanok structure sprawls across carefully manicured grounds, surrounded by gardens and smaller auxiliary buildings. This isn't a home, it's a fortress. The car stops. The driver opens her door. Selen steps out onto gravel, clutching her suitcase. The air smells like pine and rain. Somewhere in the distance, she hears water running, a stream or fountain. This way. She turns. A woman in her 50s stands near the entrance, dressed in a simple gray hanbok. Her face is stern but not unkind. I'm Mrs. Choi, the woman says in perfect English. I manage the household. Mr. Kang is waiting inside. Selen follows her through the main entrance. The interior steals her breath. High ceilings, polished wood floors, minimalist furniture that probably costs more than everything Selen has ever owned. Traditional scrolls hang on the walls. Everything is immaculate, sterile, like a museum, not a home. They walk through several rooms before reaching a study. Mrs. Choi knocks once, then opens the door. Tai-Jin sits behind a massive desk, reading something on his phone. He doesn't look up. Leave us, he says quietly. Mrs. Choi bows and disappears. The door clicks shut. Selen stands there, suddenly aware of how out of place she is. Her worn sneakers, her cheap suitcase, her entire existence. Tai-Jin finally sets his phone down. You'll stay in the East Wing. Your room is ready. Mrs. Choi will show you everything you need. He slides a folder across the desk. Immigration interview is scheduled for next week. Study this. Memorize our story. Selen picks up the folder. Inside, she finds pages of fabricated history, how they met, where they went on their first date, when he proposed, every detail mapped out like a script. "This is insane," she mutters. "This is necessary." Tai-Jin stands. He's taller than she remembered. "We have 1 week to make this convincing. Immigration will investigate. They'll interview us separately. If our answers don't match, they'll reject the application and deport you anyway."
So we just memorize lies? We memorize a version of the truth that serves our purpose. He walks around the desk, stopping a few feet away. "Starting now, you're Selen Kang, my wife. You live here. You know my routines. You understand my business is private, and you don't ask questions. And what do you know about me?"
"Enough." His eyes narrow. "You're a painter. You came to Korea 6 years ago chasing some idealistic dream. You're stubborn, reckless, and terrible at asking for help. You'd rather drown than admit you're drowning." The accuracy stings. "You've been watching me. I told you I know everything that happens in this city. That's creepy. That's survival." Tai-Jin steps closer, close enough that she can smell his cologne, something expensive and cold. "Let me be very clear, Selen. You're here because you're useful. The moment you stop being useful, this arrangement ends. Don't mistake proximity for protection." She meets his gaze, refuses to look away. "You're afraid I'll care about you." Something flickers in his expression. Anger, or maybe recognition. "I'm afraid you'll forget why you're really here." "I won't." "Good." He steps back, the moment broken. "Mrs. Choi will show you to your room. Dinner is at 7. Don't be late." He turns away, dismissing her. Selen stands there another second, anger burning in her chest. But she swallows it, grabs her suitcase, walks out. Mrs. Choi is waiting in the hallway. She leads Selen through more corridors, finally stopping at a room in the east wing. "This is yours," Mrs. Choi says, opening the door. The room is enormous. King-sized bed, private bathroom, a wall of windows overlooking the gardens. There's even a small sitting area with a couch and reading lamp. "If you need anything, press the button by the door," Mrs. Choi continues. "Someone will assist you." "Thank you." Mrs. Choi hesitates. "Mr. Kang, he's not a bad man, just a careful one." Before Selen can respond, the woman leaves. Alone, Selen sets her suitcase down and walks to the window. The view stretches across the estate. Gardens, stone paths, and beyond that, the lights of Seoul glittering in the valley below. She's inside the fortress now, trapped behind walls she can't see. And somewhere in this massive, silent mansion, Kang Tai-Jin sits alone, convinced he's untouchable. Selen presses her palm against the cold glass. "Don't fall in love with me," she whispers to her reflection. The rule sounds simple, but standing here, surrounded by his world, she already knows the truth. Some rules are made to be broken. The first morning, Selen wakes to silence so complete it feels like drowning. No traffic noise, no neighbors shouting through thin walls, no metallic clanging from the workshops below her old studio. Just absolute, suffocating quiet pressing down on her chest until she gasps awake, momentarily forgetting where she is. Then she remembers. The mansion. The marriage. The ghost of a man who bought her freedom with a contract and a warning. She sits up slowly. Sunlight pours through the massive windows, turning everything gold. Her suitcase still sits unpacked in the corner. Her art supplies lean against the wall like abandoned soldiers. This room is 3 times the size of her entire old apartment, and somehow it feels smaller. A soft knock interrupts her thoughts. "Come in," Selen calls. Mrs. Choi enters carrying a tray. "Breakfast. Mr. Kang thought you might prefer to eat in your room this morning." "Where is he?" "Already gone. He leaves early most days." Mrs. Choi sets the tray on the small table by the window. Rice, soup, banchan, all perfectly arranged. "He won't return until evening." Selen nods, trying to hide her relief. She's not ready to face him yet. Not after last night's cold dismissal. Mrs. Choi lingers near the door. "The staff has been instructed to give you space, but if you need anything, I'll manage." The older woman's expression softens slightly. "This house has been very quiet for a long time. It might be nice to hear it wake up again." Before Selen can ask what she means, Mrs. Choi leaves.
Celine picks at the food, but her appetite died somewhere between signing her life away and sleeping in a stranger's fortress. She eventually gives up and wanders to the window. The gardens below stretch in careful symmetry, stone paths winding between sculpted trees, a koi pond reflecting morning light, everything manicured to sterile perfection. Beautiful, empty, just like everything else here. She spends the day exploring. The mansion is even larger than she realized. Multiple wings, countless rooms, a library filled with books in Korean, English, and Japanese. A gym that looks untouched, a dining room that could seat 20 but probably never does. Everywhere she goes, she encounters staff, gardeners, cleaners, security, who bow politely and disappear. Nobody speaks to her. Nobody asks questions. They move through the estate like ghosts serving a ghost. By afternoon, Selen finds herself in what appears to be Tai-Jin's private study. She shouldn't be here, knows she shouldn't. But curiosity wins. The room is all dark wood and leather, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive desk covered in files and papers, everything organized with military precision. She runs her fingers along the spines of books, business law, financial regulations, Korean history. Nothing personal, nothing that reveals the man who lives here. Then she notices the photographs. Just two, sitting on a shelf partially hidden behind a stack of folders. The first shows a young Tai-Jin, maybe 16, standing next to an older man in a traditional hanbok. Same sharp features, same unreadable eyes. His father, probably. Both of them look like they're attending a funeral, not posing for a family photo. The second photograph makes her breath catch. A woman, late 20s. Beautiful. She's laughing at something off camera, her hand reaching toward whoever's taking the picture. Joy radiates from her face, the kind of unguarded happiness that feels almost obscene in this cold house. Selen picks up the frame. The back is labeled in neat Korean script. She can't read it, but the date is clear enough, 8 years ago. You shouldn't be in here. Selen spins. Tai-Jin stands in the doorway, still wearing his suit from whatever business consumed his day. His expression is perfectly blank, but his eyes burn. I was just invading my privacy. He crosses the room in 3 strides and takes the photograph from her hands. I thought I made the rules clear. You did. Stay out of your life. Don't ask questions. Selen crosses her arms. Hard to do when your life is everywhere I look. Tai-Jin sets the frame back on the shelf, face down this time. The study is off limits. So is the West Wing. Everywhere else, you're free to explore. Who is she? His jaw tightens. No questions. Was she your wife? Girlfriend? Sister? Selen. Her name sounds like a warning. Drop it. But she can't. Something about that photograph, the joy in the woman's face, the careful way Tai-Jin hides it, demands answers. Did you love her? Tai-Jin's control fractures for just a second. She sees it in the way his fists clench, the way his breathing changes. Then the mask slams back into place. Get out of my study. Selen holds her ground. You can order me around all you want, but I'm not one of your employees. If we're supposed to convince people we're married, maybe you should try treating me like a human being instead of Instead of what? Tai-Jin steps closer. Too close. Close enough that she can see the exhaustion etched into his face, despite his perfect posture. Instead of the transaction you are? The desperate woman who sold herself for a visa? The words hit like a slap. Selen's hands shake with sudden rage. Fuck you. That's the truth. We both know it. So stop pretending this is anything more than a business arrangement and stay out of my personal life. Fine. Selen pushes past him toward the door. Stay alone in your fortress with your secrets and your ghosts. See if I care. She storms out before he can respond. Her footsteps echo through the empty hallways as she races back to her room. Once inside, she slams the door hard enough to rattle the frame. The fury burns through her for several minutes before giving way to something worse. Shame. Because he's right. She is desperate. She did sell herself. And now she's trapped in this beautiful, terrible house with a man who treats human connection like a disease. Selen slides down the door until she's sitting on the floor, head in her hands. What the hell has she done? Dinner that night is excruciating. Mrs. Choi insists they eat together.
For practice, she says firmly. Immigration will expect you to know each other's habits. So Selen sits across from Tai-Jin at the massive dining table, picking at perfectly prepared food while silence crushes them both. He doesn't look at her, doesn't speak, just eats with mechanical efficiency, like fueling a machine. Finally, Selen can't take it anymore. This is ridiculous, she says. Tai-Jin glances up. What is this? Us. Sitting here pretending the giant elephant in the room doesn't exist. There's no elephant. There's a contract. We're fulfilling the terms. Selen sets down her chopsticks. Immigration is going to take one look at us and know we're lying. We can barely stand to be in the same room. Then we practice. Tai-Jin wipes his mouth with a napkin. Tell me about your childhood. The abrupt shift throws her. What? Your childhood, where you grew up, your family. Immigration will ask. I need to know the answers. Selen leans back in her chair. You first. That's not how this works. Sure it is. Marriage is about give and take, right? So give me something and I'll give you something back. Tai-Jin's expression darkens. I don't do quid pro quo with personal information. Then good luck convincing immigration we're in love. Selen stands. I'm done with this. Sit down. No. Selen, you want me to spill my guts while you sit there like a statue? Not happening. She heads for the door. When you're ready to act like an actual human being, come find me. She makes it 3 steps before Tai-Jin speaks again. I grew up in this house. Selen stops, turns. Tai-Jin stares at his plate. My father built this estate 30 years ago. I was 5 when we moved in. My mother hated it. Said it felt like a prison. He pauses. She left when I was 7. Haven't seen her since. The admission hangs in the air like smoke. Selen slowly walks back to the table. Sits. Your turn, Tai-Jin says quietly. Selen takes a breath. Lagos. Born and raised in a neighborhood called Yaba. My father was a professor, philosophy. He died when I was 19. Heart attack. She traces a finger along the edge of her plate. Left behind massive debts. My mother blamed me for not becoming a doctor or lawyer, something practical. We haven't spoken in 3 years. Tai-Jin looks at her properly for the first time all evening. Why Korea? Why not? Selen shrugs. I needed distance. Seoul was far enough that nobody could follow. And the painting? The only thing I'm good at. The only thing that makes sense. Something shifts in Tai-Jin's expression, not quite sympathy, but understanding. Recognition of a kindred spirit trapped by circumstances beyond their control. The woman in the photograph, he says slowly. Her name was Yuna. She was my fiancée. Selen's chest tightens. What happened? She got caught in the crossfire of someone else's war. Tai-Jin's voice drops to something barely above a whisper. 5 years ago, a rival syndicate targeted me. They couldn't reach me directly, so they went after her instead, killed her to make a point. Tai-Jin, that's why the rule exists. He meets her eyes. Everyone close to me becomes a target. Everyone I care about ends up dead. So I stopped caring, stopped letting anyone close enough to matter. The weight of that confession settles over Selen like ash. She wants to reach across the table, wants to tell him she understands. But the distance between them feels impassable. I'm sorry, she whispers. Tai-Jin stands abruptly. Don't be. Just remember why we're both here. He walks toward the door, then pauses. Immigration interview is in 5 days. We start rehearsing tomorrow morning. Be ready. Then he's gone. Selen sits alone at the massive table, surrounded by half-eaten food and the ghosts of all the things they can't say to each other. The next 3 days blur together in a relentless cycle of rehearsal and tension. Tai-Jin drills her on their fabricated history, where they met, their first kiss, his proposal. Every detail memorized until Selen can recite it in her sleep. He's ruthless about it, correcting every hesitation, every stumble. They practice in the study, the garden, the dining room, over and over until the lies start feeling like memories. But something else happens during those rehearsals. Small moments that slip past Tai-Jin's defenses. The way he absently fixes her tea exactly how she likes it,
2 sugars, no milk, without her asking. The way his hand hovers near her back when they practice walking together, protective despite his determination to stay distant. The way his voice softens when he corrects her Korean pronunciation, patient in a way that doesn't match his cold exterior. Selen notices everything, catalogs every crack in his armor, and she knows he notices her too. The way she hums while reviewing their script, the way she kicks off her shoes the moment she sits down, never quite comfortable in formal settings. The way her accent thickens when she's tired or frustrated. They're learning each other despite themselves. On the 4th night, Tai-Jin brings her to the library after dinner. "We need to work on physical comfort," he says without preamble. Selen looks up from the book she's reading. "Meaning, immigration will expect us to touch, hold hands, show affection." He shifts uncomfortably. "We need to make it look natural." "This should be fun," Selen mutters. Tai-Jin extends his hand. "Let's start simple." Selen stares at his hand for a long moment before taking it. His skin is warm, calloused. The contact sends electricity up her arm that she absolutely refuses to acknowledge. They stand there awkwardly, hands clasped like middle schoolers at a dance. "This is terrible," Selen says. "I'm aware. We look like we're about to shake on a business deal." Tai-Jin's mouth twitches, almost a smile. "That's essentially what we did." Despite herself, Selen laughs. The sound breaks something. Tai-Jin's grip relaxes. His thumb brushes against her knuckles, probably unconscious, probably meaningless, probably nothing. But Selen's heart rate spikes anyway. "Better," Tai-Jin says quietly. They practice for another hour, holding hands, standing close. Tai-Jin's arm around her waist. Every touch carefully controlled, clinically executed. But beneath the surface, something else builds. A tension neither of them names. Finally, Tai-Jin steps back. "That's enough for tonight." "Okay." Selen's voice comes out rougher than intended. Tai-Jin notices. Of course he notices. His eyes linger on her face, searching for something. Then he shakes his head slightly, as if arguing with himself, and walks out. Selen stands alone in the library, her skin still buzzing from contact that shouldn't mean anything. "Don't fall in love with me." The rule echoes in her head like a warning bell, but her racing pulse doesn't listen. The morning of the immigration interview arrives wrapped in cold rain. Selen wakes early, nerves eating through her stomach. She dresses carefully, conservative blouse, dark slacks, minimal jewelry except for the engagement ring Tai-Jin gave her 3 days ago. Simple gold band. Nothing flashy. Exactly what a woman marrying for love instead of status would choose. The irony isn't lost on her. Tai-Jin meets her in the foyer at 7. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than her entire wardrobe, but he's managed to make himself look softer, more approachable. The transformation is subtle but effective. "Ready?" he asks. "No." His mouth twitches. "Honest. Good. Use that." The drive to the immigration office takes an hour. They sit in the back of the Mercedes, reviewing their story one final time. Tai-Jin's driver, a silent man named Mr. Park, navigates through Seoul's morning traffic while rain hammers the windows. Halfway there, Tai-Jin reaches for Selen's hand. She startles. "Practice," he says simply. But his grip is tighter than necessary, and he doesn't let go until they arrive. The immigration office in Chuncheon is a gray government building that smells like bureaucracy and crushed dreams. They check in at the front desk. A stern-faced woman leads them to a waiting area filled with other couples, some looking nervous, others bored, all of them trapped in the same bureaucratic nightmare. Selen's leg bounces. She can't stop it. Tai-Jin's hand settles on her knee. "Breathe." "Easy for you to say. You're not the one about to get deported. If you get deported, this entire arrangement collapses. We're in this together." The words should be reassuring. Instead, they remind Selen how transactional this all is. She's not his wife, she's his shield. A piece on a chessboard he's moving to protect more valuable assets. "Mr. and Mrs. Kang?" They both stand. A middle-aged immigration officer stands in the doorway, a woman with severe glasses and an expression that suggests she's seen every lie imaginable. "This way." The interview room is small. Fluorescent lights. A metal table. 3 chairs. The officer, her nameplate reads Officer Kim, gestures for them to sit. then settles across from them with a thick file. "I'll be conducting your interview today," she says in Korean. Tai-Jin translates quietly for Selen, though Selen understands more than she lets on. "I'm required to inform you that providing false information is a criminal offense punishable by fines and imprisonment." Selen's mouth goes dry. Officer Kim opens the file. "Let's begin. Mr. Kang, how did you meet your wife?" Tai-Jin doesn't hesitate. "A charity event in Yangpyeong 2 years ago. She was painting. I couldn't stop watching her work." "And you, Ms. Adeyemi?" Selen forces her voice steady. "I noticed him staring, thought he was creepy at first." She catches Tai-Jin's eye. "Then I realized he was just awkward." Officer Kim's expression doesn't change. "When did the relationship become romantic?"
6 months later, Tai-Jin says. "I contacted her about commissioning a painting. We met for coffee to discuss it. Ended up talking for 4 hours."
"About what?"
"Everything." Selen picks up the thread. Art, Lagos, Seoul, his terrible taste in coffee. She pauses. "He told me about his mother leaving. I told him about my father dying. We both understood being alone in a city that doesn't really want you." It's the first true thing she said. The words taste different in her mouth, heavier. Officer Kim notices. "And the proposal?" Tai-Jin shifts slightly. 3 months ago, we were at the estate. She was painting in the garden. His voice drops. "I'd been planning something elaborate. Restaurant, flowers, the whole performance. But I looked at her, paint in her hair, completely absorbed in her work, and I just, asked." Selen stares at him. "That's not the rehearsed story. That's something else. Something that sounds almost real." Officer Kim makes notes. "Ms. Adeyemi, describe your fiancé's daily routine." "He wakes up at 5:30, goes for a run, showers. Black coffee, no sugar. He's usually gone by 7. Works until late. Sometimes doesn't come home until midnight. When he's stressed, he reorganizes his desk. When he's exhausted, he falls asleep in his study with his glasses still on. The details tumble out before she can stop them. Details she's absorbed over the past week. Details she shouldn't know about a man she's supposedly been with for 2 years but actually met a week ago." Officer Kim's eyes narrow. "Mr. Kang, what does your wife eat for breakfast?" "Rice and soup. Sometimes toast if she's in a hurry. She drinks tea, 2 sugars, no milk. Burns her tongue every time because she never lets it cool enough." "Favorite color?" "Gold. Not yellow. Gold. The color of sunset through dirty windows." Tai-Jin doesn't break eye contact with the officer. "She says it's the color of surviving." Selen's breath catches. She never told him that. But he knows anyway. Officer Kim leans back. "Here's what I see. An artist with an expired visa. A man with criminal connections and financial investigations pending. A sudden marriage that conveniently solves both your problems." She closes the file. "Tell me why I should believe any of this is real." Silence crashes down. Selen's hands start shaking. This is it. They're about to be exposed. Everything falls apart right here in this fluorescent-lit government office. Then Tai-Jin speaks. "Because it started as a transaction and became something else." Officer Kim's eyebrows rise. "Explain. You're right about everything. The timing, the convenience. I needed a wife to protect my assets. She needed a visa. We made a deal." Tai-Jin's voice is steady, but something raw bleeds through. "But then she moved into my house and started changing things. She cooks food that makes the whole estate smell like life instead of death. She sings while she works. She argues with me when I'm being an asshole. She makes my staff smile. She made me remember what it feels like to come home to something instead of just returning to an empty building." Selen can't breathe. "I told her not to fall in love with me," Tai-Jin continues. "Made it a rule. Because everyone who gets close to me ends up hurt. But somewhere between the rehearsals and the dinners and the late-night conversations, I broke my own rule." He finally looks at Selen. "I fell in love with her instead." The words detonate in the small room. Selen stares at him, heart hammering against her ribs. This is part of the act. Has to be. Tai-Jin is playing the role perfectly, selling the lie with devastating precision, except his eyes tell a different story. Officer Kim turns to Selen. And you? Do you love your husband? Selen opens her mouth, closes it. Every prepared answer evaporates. She's supposed to say yes, supposed to deliver the rehearsed confession about falling for him despite herself. But the truth forces itself out instead. I don't know, she whispers. Tai-Jin's expression fractures. I know I should, Selen continues, unable to stop now. He saved my life, gave me everything I needed. He's brilliant and infuriating and so damaged it hurts to look at him sometimes. But I don't know if what I feel is love or gratitude or just fear of being alone again. Officer Kim watches them both in silence. What I do know, Selen says, voice breaking, is that I think about him constantly. I listen for his footsteps in the hallway. I rearrange my schedule around the 30 minutes we eat dinner together. I paint him without meaning to. His hands, his profile, the way he looks when he thinks nobody's watching. I don't know if that's love, but it's the closest I've ever come. The confession hangs in the air like smoke. Officer Kim makes a final note. Wait outside. They stand on numb legs and walk out. The hallway feels too bright, too loud. Selen's hands won't stop shaking. Tai-Jin leads her to a quiet corner. They stand there, not touching, not speaking. Everything that just happened in that room pulses between them like a live wire. Did you mean it? Selen finally asks. Which part? All of it. Tai-Jin's jaw works. It doesn't matter. The hell it doesn't. Mr. and Mrs. Kang? They turn. Officer Kim stands in the doorway, holding a stamped document. Approved. The word doesn't register at first, then it hits like a freight train. Approved. She's staying. The visa is secure. Officer Kim hands Tai-Jin the papers. Your resident card will arrive in 6 weeks. Congratulations. She walks away, leaving them alone in the hallway with their lies and half-truths and the terrible possibility that neither of them was acting at all. Selen should feel relieved, should feel victorious. Instead, she feels terrified. Because in that interview room, pretending to be in love, she realized something devastating. She wasn't pretending, and neither was he. Tai-Jin stares at the approval papers in his hands. His expression is completely blank, but Selen sees his knuckles whiten as he grips the folder. We should go, he says quietly. They walk to the car in silence. Mr. Park opens the door. They climb into the back seat. The Mercedes pulls away from the government building, carrying them back toward the estate. Selen stares out the window, watching Chuncheon blur past. Raindrops race down the glass like tears. Halfway through the drive, Tai-Jin speaks. When we get back, we need to talk. About what? About what happens next. Selen's chest tightens. We got approved. That's what happens next. No. Tai-Jin finally looks at her. What happens next is you decide if you meant what you said in there. Because if you did, his phone rings. He glances at the screen. His entire body goes rigid. Answer it, Selen says. Tai-Jin lifts the phone to his ear. What? Selen can't hear the other end, but she watches Tai-Jin's expression transform from carefully controlled to something close to panic. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. I'm 40 minutes out, locked down the estate. Nobody in or out until I arrive. He hangs up. Immediately dials another number. We have a problem, he says in rapid Korean. The warehouse. Bukcheon docks. They hit us during the immigration interview. He listens. I don't care. Pull everyone back to the estate, now. He ends the call. Looks at Mr. Park in the rearview mirror. Faster! The car accelerates. Selen's pulse spikes. What's happening? Rival syndicate. They've been probing my territory for months. Tai-Jin's voice is ice. They just escalated. What does that mean? It means they're coming for me. He meets her eyes, which means they're coming for you. The weight of that statement crushes the air from Selen's lungs. This isn't just business anymore. This isn't a contract marriage with neat boundaries. She's in his world now, actually in it. And his world is built on blood. The car tears through the rain toward the estate while Tai-Jin makes call after call, his voice dropping into the cold, lethal tone of the man's soul fears. The ghost of Gangnam, Korea's most dangerous mafia boss,
Not the man who confessed to falling in love in an immigration office. The man who buries his enemies in construction sites. Selen watches him transform and realizes with absolute clarity that she's crossed a line she can never uncross. She's Mrs. Kang now, for real. And there's no going back. The estate is already locked down when they arrive. Armed guards stand at every entrance. The main gate closes behind the Mercedes with a metallic clang that sounds like a prison door slamming shut. Through the rain-streaked windows, Selen watches men in dark suits moving across the grounds with military precision, checking perimeters, securing buildings, transforming the beautiful mountain retreat into a fortress preparing for siege. The car stops. Tai-Jin doesn't wait for Mr. Park to open the door. He's out before the engine dies, phone already pressed to his ear, barking orders in rapid-fire Korean. Selen follows, rain immediately soaking through her blouse as she runs toward the main house. Inside, chaos. Staff members hurry through hallways carrying supplies. Mrs. Choi directs traffic from the foyer, her usual calm replaced by sharp efficiency. She sees Selen and grabs her arm. East Wing, your room. Lock the door. Don't come out until someone comes for you. What's happening? Now, Selen. But Selen pulls free. I'm not hiding in my room like a child while she stays with me. Both women turn. Tai-Jin stands in the entrance to his study, rain dripping from his hair, suit clinging to his frame. His expression is carved from stone, but his eyes burn with something close to fear. Sir, that's not, Mrs. Choi starts. She stays with me, Tai-Jin repeats. That's not a request. Mrs. Choi hesitates, then nods. She squeezes Selen's shoulder once before disappearing down the hallway. Tai-Jin gestures toward the study. Inside, Selen enters the room she was forbidden from just days ago. Now it's command central. 3 men in suits huddle around Tai-Jin's desk, pointing at maps spread across the surface. She recognizes the Bukcheon docks, shipping containers, warehouses, the Han River snaking through industrial yards. One of the men looks up when she enters. He's older, maybe 50, with a scar running from his temple to his jaw. His eyes narrow. Boss, you sure about this? She's my wife, Tai-Jin says flatly. She has a right to know what's happening. The man's expression says he disagrees, but he doesn't argue. Tai-Jin moves to the desk, Selen following close behind. Report, Tai-Jin orders. Scarface taps the map. They hit the main warehouse at 1400 hours, came in fast. 8 vehicles, maybe 20 men. Burned through the dock gate, torched 3 shipping containers before our security could respond. Casualties? 2 of ours injured, none dead. They didn't stick around to fight, just wanted to send a message. What kind of message? Selen asks. All 3 men look at her like she's a child interrupting adult conversation. Tai-Jin's jaw tightens. The warehouse handles import logistics, he says. Not drugs, not weapons. Legitimate cargo for legitimate businesses. Hitting it doesn't damage my finances. It damages my reputation. Understanding dawns. They're showing Seoul you can't protect your own territory. Exactly. Tai-Jin's finger traces the map. Which means this isn't about money or territory. It's about making me look weak before they make their real move. What's the real move? Selen presses. Scarface answers before Tai-Jin can. Us. This estate. They'll come here next. Try to take out the boss on his own ground. Selen's blood runs cold. When? Tonight. Tomorrow. Could be weeks. Tai-Jin straightens. Doesn't matter. We're ready. But his voice carries an edge of uncertainty that terrifies Selen more than anything else. For the first time since she met him, Kang Tai-Jin sounds like a man who isn't sure he'll win. The men continue discussing defensive positions, patrol rotations, contingency plans. Selen stands near the window, watching rain hammer the gardens while her mind races. This is real. The danger she'd understood theoretically, the violence lurking beneath Tai-Jin's controlled surface, has erupted into her reality. She's not just playing the role of mafia wife anymore. She is one. A sharp knock interrupts the strategy session. A young guard enters, face pale. Sir, we have a visitor at the gate. Tai-Jin's eyes narrow. Who? He says his name is Park Minho. Says he's your cousin. The temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. Selen watches Tai-Jin's entire body go rigid, watches something that looks almost like pain flash across his face before the mask slams back into place. "Let him in," Tai-Jin says quietly. Scarface steps forward. "Boss, that's not—" "I said let him in." The guard bows and disappears. The other men exchange worried glances but don't argue. Tai-Jin walks to the window, staring out at the rain-soaked grounds. Selen moves beside him. "Who's Park Minho?" "Someone I haven't seen in 5 years." Tai-Jin's reflection in the glass looks haunted. Someone I hoped I'd never see again. Before Selen can ask more, footsteps echo in the hallway. The study door opens. The man who enters looks nothing like Tai-Jin. Where Tai-Jin is all sharp angles and controlled menace, this man is softer, rounder face, easy smile, expensive casual clothes, designer jeans, leather jacket. He could be a K-pop manager or a tech startup executive. Nothing about him screams danger, which makes him more dangerous than anyone else in the room. "Tai-Jin, Minho says warmly, using the familiar form like they're still children. "It's been too long." Tai-Jin doesn't move. "What do you want, Minho?" "Is that any way to greet family?" Minho's eyes slide to Selen. "And you must be the famous wife, Selen, right? The artist. I've heard so much about you." Something about his smile makes Selen's skin crawl. She stays silent. Minho walks further into the study, hands in his pockets, completely at ease despite the hostile atmosphere. "I heard about the trouble at the docks. Terrible business. Bukcheon crew is getting bold." "You didn't come here to discuss business," Tai-Jin says coldly. "No." Minho stops a few feet away. "I came to offer help. Families should stick together during difficult times." "We're not family. Not anymore." Pain flashes across Minho's face. Genuine or performed, Selen can't tell. "That hurts, cousin. After everything we've been through." "After everything you did," Tai-Jin corrects. His voice could cut glass. "Get to the point." Minho sighs. "Fine. I have information about who's really behind the attacks. Who's orchestrating this war against you." He pauses. "But information comes with a price." "Of course it does." "I want back in, not just as family, as a partner. Give me a stake in the organization and I'll tell you everything." Tai-Jin laughs. The sound is harsh, ugly. "You think I'm desperate enough to let you back into my life after what you did? I think you're smart enough to recognize when you need help." Minho's expression hardens. "You're under attack from multiple fronts, financial prosecutors, rival syndicates, and you just married a foreign woman with no connections and an expired visa, a liability that makes you look weak to every crew in Seoul." Selen flinches. The words hit exactly where they're meant to. Tai-Jin takes a step forward. "Careful. I'm just stating facts." Minho spreads his hands. "But I can help. I have contacts, resources, intel that could save your empire." His eyes find Selen again. "And maybe even save her." The threat is subtle but unmistakable. Selen's hands curl into fists. Tai-Jin's voice drops to something lethal. "You have 10 seconds to leave before I have you thrown out." Think about it, Tai-Jin. Who benefits from making you look weak? Who has the most to gain from your territory fragmenting? Minho backs toward the door. "I'll be at the Shilla Hotel, room 847. When you're ready to hear the truth, come find me." He leaves. The door clicks shut. Silence crushes the room. Scarface breaks it first. "Boss, he's playing you, whatever he knows." "I know." Tai-Jin runs a hand through his wet hair. "But he's right about one thing. Someone is orchestrating this. The timing is too perfect. The attack's too coordinated." "You think there's a traitor inside the organization?" another guard asks. Tai-Jin doesn't answer, just stares at the closed door like he can see through it to the truth lurking on the other side. Selena's mind races. 5 years. Minho disappeared 5 years ago. The same time Yuna died. "What did he do?" she asks quietly. Tai-Jin looks at her. For a long moment she thinks he won't answer. Then his shoulders sag slightly, just a fraction, but enough to reveal the exhaustion beneath his armor. He loved her too. Understanding crashes down. Yuna. They grew up together. Minho, Yuna, and me. Inseparable until we weren't. Tai-Jin's voice is hollow. "When Yuna chose me..." Minho disappeared. I thought he'd accepted it, moved on. Then she died, and I found out he'd been feeding information to the rival syndicate that killed her, trading her life for a stake in their operation. Selene's breath catches. He got her killed. Indirectly. But his information made the attack possible. Tai-Jin's fists clench. I exiled him. Told him if he ever came back to Seoul, I'd kill him myself. So why is he here now? Because he thinks I'm desperate enough to forgive him, or stupid enough to trust him. Tai-Jin turns back to his men. Double the perimeter guards. I want eyes on every approach to this estate, and find out where Minho's been for the past 5 years, who he's working for now, every detail. The men bow and file out, leaving Selen and Tai-Jin alone. Rain hammers the windows. Thunder rumbles in the distance. The study feels smaller somehow, walls pressing in as the weight of everything unsaid crushes the air between them. You should eat something, Tai-Jin says without looking at her. It's going to be a long night. I'm not hungry. Selen, don't. She cuts him off. Don't tell me to go to my room or eat dinner or pretend everything is normal. We're past that now. Tai-Jin finally meets her eyes. What do you want me to say? The truth. In that immigration office, you said you fell in love with me. Was that real, or were you just playing the role? The question hangs between them like a blade. Tai-Jin opens his mouth, closes it, looks away. That's what I thought, Selen whispers. She turns toward the door. Tai-Jin's voice stops her. It's easier if it's not real. Selen freezes. What? If I love you, you become a target. Everyone I've ever loved ends up dead or destroyed. It's easier, safer, if what we have stays transactional. A contract. Nothing more. Selen spins back. You don't get to decide that alone. I'm trying to protect you. By lying? By pretending you don't feel anything? Anger burns through her chest. I heard what you said in that office. I saw your face. You can't fake that kind of... Yes, I can. Tai-Jin's control finally shatters. I've spent my entire life faking emotions. Performing for prosecutors, rivals, allies. I'm good at making people believe what I need them to believe. Bullshit. You don't know me, Selen. You've been here 1 week. You think that's enough time to understand? I know you reorganize your desk when you're stressed. I know you fall asleep with your glasses on. I know you take your coffee black because you think adding anything makes you soft. I know you haven't slept through the night since Yuna died. I know you hate this house, but can't leave because it's the only thing your father gave you that mattered. Selen's voice breaks. And I know you're terrified right now, not of the rivals or the prosecutors or even Minho. You're terrified that you actually meant what you said in that interview. Tai-Jin stares at her like she's a ghost. So don't stand there and tell me you were acting, Selen finishes, because I wasn't. And I don't think you were either. Thunder crashes. Lightning splits the sky outside. In that moment of illumination, Selen sees everything Tai-Jin is desperately trying to hide. Fear, longing, and something that looks devastatingly close to hope. Then darkness returns. This isn't safe, Tai-Jin says roughly. I don't care. You should. My world destroys everything it touches. Then let it destroy me. Selen closes the distance between them. I'm not Yuna. I'm not going to shatter the first time things get hard. I survived Lagos. I survived 6 years in Seoul with nothing. I can survive you. Tai-Jin's breathing changes. His hands hover near her arms, not quite touching. Selen! The study door explodes inward. Both of them spin. Scarface stands in the doorway, phone in hand, face ashen. Boss, we have a problem. Tai-Jin's expression goes cold. What kind of problem? The Bucheon crew. They're not working alone. Scarface's voice shakes. We just got intel. They've been coordinating with someone inside our organization, someone high up. Who? We don't know yet. But boss, Scarface swallows hard. The warehouse attack was a diversion. While we were focused on the docks, they hit your offshore accounts, drained 40% of your liquid assets. The color drains from Tai-Jin's face. How? Someone gave them access codes, transfer authorizations, everything they needed to bypass security. Scarface looks like he might be sick. It's bad, boss. Really bad.
Tai-Jin staggers back a step. Selen grabs his arm to steady him. How many people have that level of access, she demands. 5, Tai-Jin whispers, including me. Understanding crashes down. A traitor. Someone in Tai-Jin's inner circle has been selling him out. Someone he trusts. Someone in this house. Tai-Jin's phone buzzes. He checks it with shaking hands. His face goes from pale to gray. What? Selen asks. He shows her the screen, a text from an unknown number. Nice wedding. Shame about the money. But don't worry, we're not done yet. Give my regards to your lovely wife. Attached is a photo. Selen and Tai-Jin leaving the immigration office that morning. Someone was watching. Someone knew exactly when they'd be vulnerable. Another text arrives. Ask yourself who knew about the interview. Who knew you'd be away from the estate? Who's been playing you from the beginning? Tai-Jin looks at Scarface. Lockdown communications. Nobody makes calls, sends texts, or leaves this property until I know who the traitor is. Sir, now! Scarface bows and runs. Tai-Jin turns to Selen, grabbing her shoulders. Listen to me very carefully. Until we know who's betraying us, you trust no one. Not the staff, not the guards. No one except me. Understand? Selen nods, fear climbing her spine. I need to make calls, secure what's left of the accounts before they drain everything. Tai-Jin's hands shake slightly. Stay in this room. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone but me. Tai-Jin? He kisses her forehead. Quick, desperate. Then he's gone, door slamming behind him. Selen stands alone in the study, heart hammering. She locks the door like he ordered, then leans against it, trying to process everything that just happened. 40% of Tai-Jin's assets gone. A traitor in the organization, rivals circling like sharks. And somewhere out there, someone is orchestrating all of it. She walks to Tai-Jin's desk, staring at the maps still spread across the surface. Her eyes catch on something she missed before. A notation in the corner of the dock map. Korean characters she can't read. But beneath them, a number, 847. The same room number Minho mentioned. Selen's blood runs cold. She grabs the map, studying it closer. More notations. More numbers. All of them connecting the docks to locations throughout Seoul. All of them in Minho's handwriting. She recognizes the style from the business card he left on the desk. Minho was here before, recently, and he was studying Tai-Jin's operations. The pieces slam together. Minho is the traitor, or Minho knows who is. Selen needs to tell Tai-Jin, needs to show him the map. She rushes to the door, unlocks it, pulls it open, and finds Mrs. Choi standing in the hallway holding a tea tray. I thought you might need something warm, the older woman says gently. It's going to be a long night. Selen hesitates. Tai-Jin said, trust no one. But this is Mrs. Choi, the woman who's run this household for decades, who showed Selen kindness when no one else did. Thank you, Selen says carefully, but I'm okay. Mrs. Choi's smile doesn't reach her eyes. Please, just a moment. I need to speak with you about something important. Every instinct screams warning, but Selen can't articulate why. Mrs. Choi sets the tray on a side table in the hallway and gestures for Selen to join her. Against her better judgment, Selen steps into the hall. The door clicks shut behind her. Mrs. Choi's expression transforms. The gentle warmth vanishes, replaced by something cold and calculating. I'm sorry, dear, she says quietly, but you've complicated things terribly. Selen backs away. What are you talking about? The marriage. The approval. You were supposed to fail the interview. Mrs. Choi's voice carries disappointment, like Selen broke a rule in finishing school. The deportation was supposed to make Tai-Jin look weak, unable to protect even his own wife. It would have been the final nail, but you two actually pulled it off. Horror floods Selen's veins. You're the traitor. I'm the solution. Mrs. Choi pulls something from her pocket. A syringe. Tai-Jin has been unstable for years. Ever since Yuna died. The organization needs stronger leadership. Leadership that understands the old ways. Minho. Very good. Park Minho will restore order. We'll make this organization powerful again. All we needed was for Tai-Jin to fall. Mrs. Choi advances. You should have left when you had the chance, dear. Now you're in the way.
Celine runs. She tears down the hallway, Mrs. Choi's footsteps pounding behind her. Doors blur past. She doesn't know this house well enough yet, doesn't know which turns led where, which rooms lock, where Tai-Jin might be. She skids around a corner, slams into someone. Strong hands grip her arms. Celine looks up, ready to scream, and finds Tai-Jin. "What's wrong?" he demands. "Mrs. Choi," Celine gasps. "She's the traitor. She's working with Minho. She tried to drug me." Tai-Jin's expression goes nuclear. He pushes Celine behind him just as Mrs. Choi rounds the corner. The older woman stops when she sees Tai-Jin. The syringe disappears into her sleeve. "Sir," she says calmly, "I was just checking on Celine. She seemed distressed." "Don't!" Tai-Jin's voice could freeze blood. "I know." Mrs. Choi's mask cracks. "Know what?" "The offshore accounts. Only 5 people had access. I've spent the last 20 minutes tracking the authorization signatures." Tai-Jin pulls out his phone, shows her the screen. "Your digital fingerprint is all over the transfers." Silence. Then Mrs. Choi laughs. Actually laughs. "Of course you'd figure it out. You always were too smart for your own good, just like your father." "How long?" Tai-Jin asks. "How long have you been selling me out?" "Since the beginning. Since the day your father brought you home as a boy and asked me to help raise you." Mrs. Choi's expression turns bitter. "I served this family for 30 years, raised you, protected you. And how did you repay me? By destroying everything your father built. Turning his empire into legitimate business, soft, weak. My father was a monster. Your father was a king, and you threw away his crown for what? Morality? Ethics?" She spits the words like poison. "Minho understands. He'll restore the organization to what it should be." "Minho is using you," Celine says. "Once he has control, you think he'll keep you around? You're just a tool to him." Mrs. Choi's eyes flash. "You know nothing, child. You've been here 1 week. Long enough to see what you can't. Tai-Jin is trying to save this organization. You're trying to destroy it." "I'm trying to save it from him," Mrs. Choi points at Tai-Jin. "He's been broken ever since Yuna died. He can't lead, can't make hard decisions. He's weak, and weakness gets people killed." Tai-Jin's jaw tightens. "Where's Minho now?" "Close enough," Mrs. Choi smiles. "Closer than you think. He's been watching this estate for weeks, knows every guard position, every patrol route, every weakness. He's planning to attack tonight," Celine realizes. "Within the hour," Mrs. Choi confirms. "The money was just the first wave. The real assault comes next. And when it's over, Minho will control everything, including you." She lunges. The syringe appears in her hand like magic. Mrs. Choi moves faster than her age should allow, aiming for Tai-Jin's neck. Celine doesn't think, just reacts. She grabs Mrs. Choi's wrist, twisting hard. The older woman yelps. The syringe clatters to the floor. Tai-Jin kicks it away and restrains Mrs. Choi with brutal efficiency, forcing her arms behind her back. "Get security," he snaps at Celine. "Now!" Celine runs. She finds Scarface 2 hallways over, directing guards. She gasps out what happened. Mrs. Choi, the confession, Minho's attack. Scarface's expression goes from shock to fury in seconds. He barks orders. Guards pour into the hallway. When Celine returns with them, Tai-Jin still has Mrs. Choi pinned. The older woman has stopped struggling, just stares at Tai-Jin with something that looks almost like pity. "You can't win this," she says quietly. "Even if you survive tonight, the damage is done. Seoul sees you as weak. The prosecutors are closing in. Your empire is crumbling. Exile me. Kill me. It doesn't matter. You've already lost." Tai-Jin says nothing, just nods to Scarface, who takes Mrs. Choi away. Then they're alone in the hallway. Tai-Jin leans against the wall, all the strength draining from his body. "She's right," he whispers. "No, she's right, Celine. The money is gone. My people are abandoning me, and Minho is coming." Tai-Jin slides down until he's sitting on the floor, head in his hands. "I can't protect you from this. Can't protect anyone." Celine sits beside him, takes his hand. "Then we protect each other." Tai-Jin looks at her. In his eyes, she sees every wall finally crumbling.
every defense shattering. The carefully controlled mask that's kept him alive for decades dissolves, revealing the terrified man underneath. I don't know how, he admits. Neither do I, but we'll figure it out, together. Thunder crashes. Lightning illuminates the hallway through distant windows. And somewhere in the darkness beyond the estate walls, Park Minho prepares his final move. Selen grips Tai-Jin's hand tighter. Whatever happens tonight, we face it together. That's the new rule. Tai-Jin's fingers interlock with hers. No more rules. One more, Selen says. Don't let go. The lights flicker. Once, twice. Then the entire estate plunges into darkness. Somewhere in the black, someone screams. The attack has begun. Darkness swallows everything. For 3 heartbeats, there's only silence and the sound of rain hammering the roof. Then chaos erupts. Gunfire shatters windows somewhere on the ground floor. Shouts echo through the estate. Korean commands barked in voices Selen doesn't recognize. Heavy boots pound against hardwood. Glass explodes. Something metallic crashes. Tai-Jin is on his feet instantly, dragging Selen up with him. His hand finds hers in the pitch black. Stay behind me. Don't let go. Emergency lights flicker on, dim red bulbs casting everything in blood-colored shadows. Enough to see shapes. Movement. The hallway stretches ahead like a throat waiting to swallow them. Scarface appears from a side corridor, weapon drawn. Boss, they breached the south gate. At least 15 hostiles, maybe more. The staff? Locked in the safe rooms like protocol, but they cut the power to disable security systems. We're running on backup generators. Won't last more than an hour. More gunfire, closer this time. Selen flinches. Tai-Jin's grip on her hand tightens. Get her to the panic room, Tai-Jin orders. No. Selen plants her feet. I'm not leaving you. This isn't negotiable. Neither am I. She meets his eyes in the red darkness. We face it together. That was the rule. Tai-Jin's jaw works. She sees the war happening behind his eyes. The instinct to protect versus the knowledge that splitting up might get them both killed. Finally, he nods once. Stay close. Do exactly what I say. If I tell you to run, you run. Understand? Yes. He turns to Scarface. West wing clear? For now, but they're pushing in from 3 sides. It's only a matter of time. Then we don't give them time. Tai-Jin pulls something from his jacket. A compact pistol. He checks the magazine, chambers around. How many men do we have? 8 inside the main house. Another 12 scattered across the grounds. But boss, we're outnumbered and outgunned. We have defensive advantage. They don't know the house like we do. Tai-Jin moves down the hallway, Selen and Scarface following. Where's Minho? No visual yet, but he's here. Has to be. They reach a junction. Tai-Jin signals for them to stop. He peers around the corner, weapon raised. The red emergency lights flicker. In that stuttering illumination, Selen sees 3 figures moving through the foyer below. Dark tactical gear, rifles, faces covered. Tai-Jin fires twice. The sound is deafening in the enclosed space. One of the figures drops. The others scatter, returning fire. Bullets tear chunks from the wall above their heads. Selen ducks, heart trying to punch through her ribs. Move! Tai-Jin grabs her, pulling her down a side corridor. Scarface covers their retreat, firing methodically. They run through rooms Selen barely recognizes in the chaos. A sitting room, a storage area, a narrow servant's passage that smells like dust and old wood. Behind them, boots thunder. Voices shout commands. Tai-Jin kicks open a door. They tumble into what looks like a library. 2 stories of books surrounding a central reading area. Moonlight filters through high windows, mixing with the red emergency glow to paint everything in shades of violence. Barricade the door, Tai-Jin snaps. Scarface and Selen shove a heavy bookshelf against the entrance while Tai-Jin moves to the windows, checking sightlines. The bookshelf settles into place just as something slams against the door from outside. Once, twice. The wood cracks but holds. How many bullets do you have? Selen asks. Tai-Jin ejects the magazine, checks it. 6 rounds. You? Scarface grimaces. 4. And they have full tactical loadouts. Selen's brain races despite the terror flooding her system. We can't fight them head on.
No, Tai-Jin agrees, but we can make them think twice about pushing deeper into the house. He turns to Scarface. The armory. Can we reach it from here? Maybe. Through the servants' passages. But it means leaving the library exposed. Another impact shakes the door. The bookshelf shifts. Men shout on the other side. Coordination, strategy. They're preparing to breach. Tai-Jin looks at Selen's. Something passes between them. Understanding, trust. The acknowledgement that they might not survive the next 10 minutes. I love you, he says. The words stop her heart. No performance. No hesitation. Just raw truth delivered in the red darkness while armed men prepare to kill them. Don't you dare die on me, Selen whispers back. He almost smiles. Not planning to. The door explodes inward. Wood splinters. The bookshelf topples. 3 men pour through the opening, weapons raised. Tai-Jin fires, drops one. Scarface takes down another. The third sprays bullets wildly. Selen hits the floor, covering her head as ancient books explode above her, pages raining down like dying birds. Tai-Jin tackles the shooter. They crash into a reading table. The rifle goes flying. Fists connect with flesh. Brutal, efficient violence. Tai-Jin fights like someone who's done this 1,000 times, every movement calculated to inflict maximum damage. The attacker pulls a knife. Tai-Jin barely blocks it. The blade skitters across his forearm, drawing blood. Selen sees red spreading through his sleeve and something inside her snaps. She grabs the fallen rifle. Doesn't think. Just moves. Swings the weapon like a club. Connects with the attacker's skull. He drops. Tai-Jin stares at her, breathing hard. Blood drips from his arm. Thanks, he gasps. Don't mention it. Scarface is at the window. Boss, you need to see this. They join him. Through the rain-streaked glass, Selen sees the estate grounds lit by emergency lights and muzzle flashes. Guards fighting, falling, more tactical figures pouring through the breached south gate. And in the middle of it all, standing near the koi pond like he's watching a performance, Park Minho. Even from this distance, Selen recognizes his posture, casual, confident, a man who's already won. He's not even hiding, Tai-Jin breathes. He wants me to see him. It's bait, Scarface warns. He wants you to come down there. I know. Tai-Jin checks his pistol. 2 rounds left. But he's right about one thing. This ends tonight. Either I kill him or he kills me. Then we go together, Selen says. Selen? I said together. She picks up the rifle she used as a club, surprised by its weight. Show me how to use this. Tai-Jin looks like he wants to argue. Instead, he takes the rifle, shows her the safety, the trigger, how to brace it against her shoulder. His hands are steady despite the blood running down his arm. Point, squeeze, don't pull. If you have to shoot, aim for center mass. And Selen, he meets her eyes. Don't hesitate. These men won't. She nods, throat too tight for words. Scarface speaks into a radio. All units, converge on the south grounds. We're making a final stand at the koi pond. The response crackles back, acknowledgments from scattered guards. How many are left, Selen can't tell. Enough to die beside them, probably. They move through the house like ghosts. The servants' passages are narrow, dark, suffocating. Selen's shoulder scrapes against stone walls. Her breathing sounds too loud in the confined space. Ahead, Tai-Jin navigates from memory, every turn automatic. They emerge into what used to be a formal garden. Now it's a war zone. Bodies lie scattered across manicured grass. Some wearing tactical gear, some in suits, Tai-Jin's guards. The koi pond reflects muzzle flashes like captured lightning. Rain mixes with blood, turning puddles pink. And in the center of it all, Park Minho waits. He's changed into tactical gear now, body armor, weapons. But his face is uncovered, smiling in the storm. 6 men flank him, armed, ready. They've created a killing zone. Any approach means crossing open ground under fire. Tai-Jin steps into the open. Cousin, he calls, let's talk. Minho laughs. The sound carries over the rain. Now you want to talk? After all these years of silence? You wanted my attention. You have it. Tai-Jin keeps his pistol lowered but ready. Call off your men. This is between us. Is it? Minho's eyes find Selen. Or is it between me, you, and your lovely wife? The woman who should have been deported. The liability that sealed your fate. She has nothing to do with this. She has everything to do with it. You chose her over the organization, over family, over everything our fathers built. Minho's smile vanishes. Just like you chose Yuna over me. There it is, the wound that never healed. Selene sees it in Minho's eyes. Not just rage, but grief, jealousy. The corrosive pain of loving someone who chose another. Yuna made her own choice, Tai-Jin says quietly. I didn't steal her from you. You didn't have to steal. You were always the heir, the chosen one. Everything came easy to you. Minho's voice cracks. Even her love. So you got her killed. I freed her from you, from this cursed family, from a life that would have destroyed her eventually. Minho pulls a pistol from his holster. And now I'm freeing the organization from you. He fires.
Tai-Jin dives left. The bullet grazes his shoulder. Selene raises the rifle, but Scarface pulls her behind cover. A stone garden wall. Gunfire erupts from all sides. Minho's men open up, tearing apart the garden. Tai-Jin returns fire. His remaining guards emerge from the house, weapons blazing. The koi pond explodes in geysers as bullets rip through water. Stone lanterns shatter. Century-old trees splinter. Selene peers around the wall. Through the chaos, she sees Tai-Jin moving, using terrain, cover, his intimate knowledge of every inch of this estate. He's outnumbered, but not outmatched. Not yet. One of Minho's men goes down, then another. Tai-Jin's guards are dying too, but they fight with desperate loyalty, protecting their boss, buying time. Scarface taps Selene's shoulder, points. 20 meters to their right, a service door leads into the house. They can flank Minho's position from inside. Selene understands. Nods. They move while everyone's attention is fixed on the firefight, low, fast. Selene's legs burn. Her hands shake so badly she almost drops the rifle. But she keeps moving. They reach the door. Scarface picks the lock with practiced efficiency. They slip inside. The house interior is chaos. Overturned furniture, shattered vases, bullet holes in walls that have stood for decades. Emergency lights flicker. Somewhere, an alarm wails uselessly. They navigate toward the south side. Through a window, Selene sees the garden battle raging. Tai-Jin has taken cover behind the koi pond's stone rim. He's bleeding from multiple wounds now, shoulder, arm, side. But he's still fighting, still alive. Minho is pulling back toward the gate, using his men as shields. He's winning. Selene can see it in the body count, in the way Tai-Jin's remaining guards are running out of ammunition, out of time. We need a clean shot, Scarface mutters. Selene studies the angles. The window overlooks the garden. Distance, maybe 40 meters. She's never fired a gun in her life, never wanted to. But the rifle is heavy in her hands, and Minho is right there, and Tai-Jin is dying. Teach me, she says. Scarface looks at her. You sure? No, teach me anyway. He shows her how to brace, how to breathe, how to sight along the barrel, where to aim to compensate for distance, wind, the rifle's natural drift. When you're ready, squeeze. Don't think, just squeeze. Selene settles into position. The window is already broken, no glass to worry about. Rain streams through the opening, soaking her face. Through the rifle's sights, she finds Minho. He's shouting orders, coordinating the final push. In 30 seconds, maybe less, his men will overwhelm Tai-Jin's position. Selene's heart hammers. Her hands won't stop shaking. She sees Tai-Jin's face in her mind, hears his voice in the immigration office. I fell in love with her instead. Feels his hand gripping hers in the darkness. Don't let go. She breathes out, squeezes. The rifle kicks like a living thing. The sound deafens her. Through the scope, she sees Minho stagger, red blooms across his shoulder. Not a kill shot, but enough to drop him. Move! Scarface pulls her away from the window. Return fire shreds the frame, sending splinters everywhere. They run. Back through the house, Selene's ears ring. She can't hear Scarface shouting instructions, can only focus on following him through the maze of corridors. They emerge on the east side. The garden battle has shifted. Minho's men are regrouping around their wounded leader. Tai-Jin is advancing, pushing the advantage. But more vehicles are pulling through the south gate. Reinforcements. Minho wasn't betting everything on this assault.
He has backup. We're going to lose, Selen gasps.
Not yet. Scarface pulls out his phone, dials. Boss needs help, now. He's calling someone. Selen doesn't know who, doesn't matter. Because through the rain, she sees Tai-Jin finally reach Minho. The two men face each other across bodies in broken stone, both bleeding, both exhausted, both carrying decades of pain and rage. Minho laughs. Blood stains his teeth. You think you've won? I've destroyed you, Tai-Jin. Your money, your reputation, your legacy, everything.
I don't care about any of that. Tai-Jin's voice carries over the rain. I only care about keeping her alive. His eyes find Selen across the distance. Even from here, she feels the weight of that gaze, the promise in it. Minho follows his cousin's stare, sees Selen. His expression twists into something ugly. Then I'll take her from you, just like you took Yuna from me. He raises his pistol. Not at Tai-Jin, at Selen. Everything slows.
Selen sees the gun, sees Minho's finger tightening on the trigger, sees Tai-Jin's face contort in horror, sees Tai-Jin throw himself between them. The gunshot cracks like the world breaking. Tai-Jin's body jerks. He stumbles, falls. Selen screams, doesn't remember dropping the rifle, doesn't remember running, just finds herself skidding to her knees beside Tai-Jin in the mud and rain and blood. He's breathing, barely. The bullet caught him high on the chest. Blood pumps from the wound with each heartbeat. No, 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 no. Selen's chat press against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Red flows between her fingers. Tai-Jin, stay with me, please. His eyes find hers. He tries to speak, can't. Blood bubbles at his lips. Don't you dare, Selen sobs. Don't you fucking dare leave me. Minho stands over them, gun pointed at Selen's head now. Poetic, he says. You'll die together, just like you lived, just like... His words cut off in a gurgle. Selen looks up. Scarface stands behind Minho, blade buried in the other man's spine. Minho's gun clatters to the ground. He drops to his knees, eyes wide with shock. For the boss, Scarface says coldly. Then he twists the blade. Minho falls face first into the mud. Doesn't move again. But Selen doesn't care. Doesn't care about victory or revenge or anything except the man dying in her arms. Help! She screams at Scarface. Call an ambulance! Do something! Already done. Scarface kneels beside Tai-Jin, checking the wound. His face goes gray. Medics are coming, but boss, I'm not dying here, Tai-Jin rasps. His hand finds Selen's, grips it weakly. Not after all this. Then don't talk. Save your strength. Need to say something. Later. You can say it later when you're not bleeding out. Tai-Jin's grip tightens slightly. Love you. Should have said it sooner. Every day. Should have... Shut up. Tears stream down Selen's face, mixing with rain and blood. You'll have plenty of time to tell me. Years, decades. We have a whole life ahead of us, remember? Immigration approved us. We're legal now. We can... Selen. His voice is fading. If I don't make it, no. Listen. If I don't make it, take everything. The estate, the accounts. It's all yours. Build something better. Something that doesn't... He coughs. More blood. Doesn't end like this. You're not dying. Selen's voice cracks. I won't let you. We face everything together. That's the rule. You don't get to break it now. Sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. Red and blue lights flicker through the rain. Tai-Jin's eyes start to close. No! Selen shakes him. Stay awake. Look at me. Tai-Jin, look at me. His eyes flutter open, focus on her face. There you are, she whispers. Stay right there. Keep looking at me. The medics are coming. Just a little longer, please. Tired, he breathes. I know, but you don't get to rest yet. You owe me a real wedding, and a honeymoon, and about 1,000 paintings. I'm going to paint you over and over until I get it right. So you have to stay alive, understand? The faintest smile touches his lips. Bossy. You love it. Yeah. His eyes drift closed again. I do. Tai-Jin! Selen's scream tears through the rain. Don't you dare! Don't!
Paramedics swarm them. Hands pull Selen away. She fights, desperate to stay close, but they push her back. They're working on Tai-Jin now. IV lines, pressure bandages, orders shouted in rapid Korean. Scarface wraps an arm around Selen's shoulders, holding her up as her legs give out. "He's strong," Scarface says roughly. "Strongest man I know. He'll make it." But Selen sees the doubt in his eyes, sees the amount of blood soaking the ground, sees the paramedics' grim expressions as they load Tai-Jin onto a stretcher. She follows as they carry him toward the ambulance, climbs in before anyone can stop her, grabs Tai-Jin's hand as the vehicle screams toward the hospital, sirens wailing. Through the small window, she watches the estate disappear into darkness. The fortress they defended, the home they almost died protecting, the place where Kang Tai-Jin might have just spent his last conscious moments. Selen grips his hand tighter. "Don't let go," she whispers. "Please don't let go." But his fingers are already going cold in hers, and the heart monitor's beeping is starting to slow. The hospital waiting room smells like disinfectant and fear. Selen sits in a plastic chair, hands still covered in Tai-Jin's blood. She hasn't moved in 3 hours, hasn't spoken, just stares at the double doors leading to surgery while the overhead fluorescents hum their mechanical dirge. Scarface stands nearby making quiet phone calls, coordinating cleanup at the estate, handling police inquiries, protecting what's left of Tai-Jin's empire while its king bleeds out on an operating table. Around them, the hospital continues its normal rhythm. Nurses pass by with clipboards. Families huddle in corners, whispering prayers. Somewhere down the hall, a baby cries. Life persists, indifferent to the fact that Selen's entire world is collapsing inside surgery room 4. A doctor emerges through the double doors, young, exhausted, surgical mask hanging around his neck. Selen is on her feet before he takes 2 steps. "Kang Tai-Jin," she says. Her voice sounds like it belongs to someone else. "How is he?" The doctor's expression gives nothing away. Professional neutrality. "Are you family?" "I'm his wife." He glances at his chart. "The surgery went as well as could be expected. We removed the bullet, repaired damage to his lung and chest cavity, but he lost significant blood. The next 24 hours are critical." "But he'll live?" The doctor hesitates. That pause stretches into eternity. "He's stable for now, but there were complications. His body went into shock during surgery. We had to resuscitate twice." The doctor's voice softens slightly. "Mrs. Kang, your husband is a fighter, but the trauma was severe. Even if he survives, recovery will be long, difficult." "Can I see him?" "He's in ICU, unconscious, won't wake for hours, possibly days." The doctor checks his watch. "You can see him briefly, but he needs rest more than anything right now." Selen nods. Can't speak past the knot in her throat. The doctor leads her through a maze of corridors. Everything is too white, too clean, so different from the mud and blood and rain of the estate. They reach ICU. The doctor pushes open a door. 10 minutes, he says gently, then let him rest. Selen steps inside. Tai-Jin lies motionless in the hospital bed, drowning in tubes and wires. Ventilator. IV drips. Heart monitor beeping steady but too slow. His skin is gray beneath the fluorescent lights. Bandages wrap his chest. His hands rest at his sides, fingers uncurled, palms up, vulnerable in a way she's never seen him. He looks small, breakable. Nothing like the ghost of Gangnam who commanded fear with a glance. He looks human. Selen pulls a chair beside the bed, takes his hand carefully, avoiding the IV line. His skin is cold. She wraps both her hands around his, trying to transfer warmth. "I'm here," she whispers. "I'm not going anywhere." The heart monitor beeps. Machines hiss and click. Tai-Jin doesn't respond. Selen sits there as the 10 minutes stretch into 30. Nobody comes to kick her out. Maybe they recognize the look on her face, the expression that says she'll fight anyone who tries to separate them now. She studies his face, memorizes details she took for granted. The small scar above his left eyebrow. The way his jaw clenches even in unconsciousness. The faint lines around his eyes from years of never quite smiling. "You better wake up," she tells him, "because I have things to say to you, important things. And you don't get to escape this conversation by dying." No response. Just the endless rhythm of medical equipment keeping him alive. Selen leans forward, pressing her forehead against their joined hands. Exhaustion crashes over her in waves. She hasn't slept in 36 hours, hasn't eaten, hasn't processed anything that happened beyond the immediate crisis of keeping Tai-Jin breathing. Now, in this quiet room, everything catches up. The attack, Mrs. Choi's betrayal, Minho's death, the bodies scattered across the estate gardens. The moment Tai-Jin threw himself between her and a bullet. He chose her, over survival, over victory, over everything. And now he might die because of it. A sob tears from Selen's chest, then another. She cries silently, shoulders shaking, tears falling onto their clasped hands. All the terror she couldn't afford to feel during the chaos floods through her now, drowning her. "Please," she whispers against his knuckles. "Please don't leave me. I can't do this alone. I don't know how to be strong without you. I don't know how to—" Her voice breaks. She cries harder. Time dissolves. Could be minutes or hours. Selen loses track, just sits there holding Tai-Jin's hand while Seoul wakes outside the hospital windows. Dawn creeps across the sky, turning it from black to gray to pale gold. Eventually, a nurse enters, kind-faced, middle-aged. She checks Tai-Jin's vitals, adjusts something on the IV, then looks at Selen with sympathy. "You should rest," the nurse says in accented English. "There's a family room down the hall, comfortable chairs, coffee." "I'm staying." "Mrs. Kang, I'm staying." Selen's voice hardens. "I promised him I wouldn't let go." The nurse studies her for a long moment, then nods. "I'll bring you a blanket." She leaves. Returns with a thin hospital blanket and a cup of terrible coffee. Selen accepts both gratefully. Wraps the blanket around her shoulders. Sips the coffee even though it tastes like burned water. And waits. The day passes in fragments. Doctors come and go. Scarface visits briefly, bringing news Selen barely processes. The estate is secured. Police are investigating but won't press charges. Self-defense, multiple witnesses. The surviving members of Tai-Jin's organization are holding together, waiting for their leader to wake up. If he wakes up. Night falls again. The hospital quiets. Selen remains in the chair beside Tai-Jin's bed, maintaining her vigil. Her body aches. Her eyes burn. She doesn't care. Sometime past midnight, Tai-Jin's hand twitches. Selen jerks upright, stares at their joined hands. Did she imagine it? Then his fingers curl slightly, squeezing hers, weak but deliberate. "Tai-Jin?" Her voice cracks. "Can you hear me?" His eyelids flutter, don't open. But his grip tightens fractionally. Selen's heart hammers. She stands, leaning over him. "It's okay. I'm here. You're safe. Just rest. Don't try to—" His eyes open, unfocused at first, confused. Then they find her face, and something like recognition sparks. His lips move. The ventilator tube prevents speech, but she reads the shape of her name. "Yeah." Selen's vision blurs with tears. "It's me. You're in the hospital. You got shot. But you're going to be okay." Tai-Jin's brow furrows. His free hand moves weakly toward the ventilator tube. "Don't." Selen catches his hand. "You need it. Just a little longer. The doctors said—" But he's already pulling at the tube, eyes panicking. Selen hits the call button. A nurse rushes in, followed by a doctor. They check monitors, exchange rapid Korean, then make a decision. "His oxygen levels are stable," the doctor says. "We can remove the ventilator, but he'll be weak. His throat will hurt." They work quickly, carefully extracting the tube. Tai-Jin coughs. Harsh, painful sounds that make Selen's chest ache in sympathy. The doctor offers water. Tai-Jin drinks slowly, wincing. Finally, he can speak. His voice is wrecked, barely a whisper. "You're here." "Of course I'm here, you idiot." Selen's laugh comes out half-sob. "Where else would I be?" "Thought I—" He coughs again. "Dreamed you." "Not a dream. I'm real. Very real, and very angry at you for scaring me like that." Tai-Jin's mouth twitches. Almost a smile. "Sorry." The doctor interrupts. "Mr. Kang, you need rest. We'll increase your pain medication." "No!" Tai-Jin's eyes stay locked on Selen. "Need to talk to her." 5 minutes. "Sir, you're in no condition."
5 minutes. Steel enters his broken voice. Even half dead, he's still commanding. Still the ghost of Gangnam beneath the hospital gown and bandages. The doctor sighs. 5 minutes. Then she leaves and you sleep. Non-negotiable. He exits with the nurse. The door clicks shut. Selen and Tai-Jin are alone again. Minho? Tai-Jin asks. Dead. Scarface killed him. Something complicated crosses Tai-Jin's face. Not quite relief, not quite grief. The others? Scattered or arrested. Your organization held together. They're waiting for you. Tai-Jin's eyes close briefly. Mrs. Choi? In custody, talking to police. She's done, Tai-Jin. It's over. He's quiet for a long moment. When he opens his eyes again, they're wet. I failed, he whispers. Failed to protect you. Failed to... Stop. Selen squeezes his hand. You took a bullet for me. You literally threw yourself in front of a gun. If that's failure, I don't want to know what success looks like. Could have gotten you killed. Could have, didn't. We survived, both of us. She leans closer. And now we get to figure out what comes next, together. Tai-Jin searches her face. You should leave. Get far away from me. From this life. You're free now. Visa approved. You could go anywhere. Be anyone. You don't need... Don't finish that sentence. Selen's voice sharpens. I didn't sit in this hospital for 2 days watching you die just to have you push me away the second you wake up. Selen, I love you. The words come out fierce, certain. I'm in love with you. Have been since before I understood what was happening. And I'm not going anywhere, so you can try to protect me by pushing me away, but it won't work. I'm staying. End of discussion. Tai-Jin stares at her. Then, impossibly, he laughs. The sound is rough, painful, but genuine. Bossy, he rasps. You love it. Yeah. His thumb brushes against her knuckles. I do. The 5 minutes dissolve into 10. 20. Nobody comes to kick Selen out. She tells Tai-Jin everything. The cleanup, the police investigation, Scarface holding the organization together. She describes the sunrise this morning, the terrible hospital coffee, the way Seoul looks from his window. She doesn't mention the fear, the certainty that she'd lost him, the hours of sitting in blood-stained clothes, waiting for news that might destroy her. He sees it anyway. I'm sorry, he whispers, for all of it, for dragging you into my world, for being too damaged to... You're not damaged, you're human, there's a difference. Selen, listen to me. She leans forward, making sure he can see the truth in her eyes. You spent years building walls to protect yourself, convinced that loving someone would get them killed. And maybe you were right to be afraid, but I'm here. I survived. We both did. And that means something. Tai-Jin's jaw works. What does it mean? It means the walls didn't save you. I did. We did. Together. Selen's voice softens. You don't have to be alone anymore, Tai-Jin. You don't have to carry everything by yourself. That's what I'm for. To share the weight, to stand beside you when everything falls apart. To remind you that being strong doesn't mean shutting everyone out. Tears slip down Tai-Jin's face. He doesn't try to hide them, doesn't turn away, just lets himself break in front of her, maybe for the first time in his life. I don't know how to do this, he admits. How to let someone in. How to trust that you won't. We'll figure it out. One day at a time, one disaster at a time. Selen wipes his tears with her thumb. But we do it together. That's the only rule that matters now. Tai-Jin pulls her hand to his chest, over his heart. She feels it beating beneath bandages and broken ribs. Together, he repeats, making it a promise. A vow more binding than anything they signed for immigration. Eventually, Tai-Jin's eyes grow heavy. The pain medication is winning. Selen sees him fighting to stay awake, fighting to hold on to this moment. Sleep, she whispers. I'll be here when you wake up, promise. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. His eyes drift closed. His breathing evens out. Selen stays beside him, holding his hand, watching his chest rise and fall with steady rhythm. Outside the window, Seoul glitters beneath stars. The city that never quite felt like home. The city that tried to reject her. The city she fought to stay in.
Now it's theirs. Both of them. Together.
3 months later, Selen stands in the estate's restored garden, staring at a canvas. The pear orchard behind the house is blooming. White petals drift through spring air like snow. She's been painting it for weeks, capturing the way light filters through branches, the way shadows pool beneath ancient trees, the way beauty persists even in places marked by violence. You're glaring at it. Selen turns. Tai-Jin walks toward her, moving carefully. The bullet wound still bothers him, probably always will. But he's alive, healing, growing stronger every day. I can't get the shadows right, she complains. They keep looking flat. Tai-Jin studies the canvas over her shoulder. Looks perfect to me. You have terrible taste. Probably. He wraps his arms around her waist, chin resting on her shoulder. But you married me anyway. Selen leans into him. They fit together now. No hesitation, no careful distance. Just the easy comfort of two people who've stopped fighting gravity. The wedding happened 2 weeks after Tai-Jin left the hospital. Small ceremony. No guests except Scarface and a handful of Tai-Jin's most trusted people. No elaborate dress or expensive venue. Just vows exchanged in this garden beneath blooming pear trees. Real vows this time. Not performed for immigration officers. Not part of any contract. Just two broken people choosing each other. The legal aftermath took longer to resolve. Police investigations, financial audits, restructuring Tai-Jin's organization into something that wouldn't attract prosecutors. He's dismantling the criminal empire piece by piece, converting operations into legitimate businesses. Security firms, import companies, real estate development. The transition is slow, messy. Some of his people resent it, others have left. But Tai-Jin is patient, determined, building something that won't require blood to maintain. Selen helps where she can. Her paintings are selling now, galleries in Seoul, Tokyo, even New York. She's gaining recognition. Critics call her work visceral and unflinching. They don't know half of it. She still paints at night when she can't sleep, still processes trauma through color and canvas. But the subjects are changing. Less darkness, more light, more hope creeping through the shadows. I have something for you, Tai-Jin says. He pulls an envelope from his jacket. Selen takes it, confused, opens it carefully. Inside, official documents, legal papers transferring ownership of the estate to both their names. And beneath that, incorporation papers for a foundation. What is this? The Una Foundation, Tai-Jin says quietly. I've been working on it for a month, providing support for artists, especially foreign artists trying to build careers in Korea. Visa assistance, housing, mentorship, everything you needed 6 years ago that nobody gave you. Selen's eyes burn. She studies the papers, throat too tight to speak. I want you to run it, Tai-Jin continues. If you're interested, use your experience. Help people who are where you were. Give them the chance you had to fight for. Tai-Jin, Selen turns in his arms, looking up at his face. This is beautiful. But Yuna, are you sure? Using her name? She would have loved it. His voice is soft. She always wanted to help people, create something meaningful. I couldn't give her that when she was alive, but maybe I can honor her memory by building something that lasts. Selen kisses him, slow, tender, pouring everything she can't articulate into the contact. When they break apart, Tai-Jin's eyes are wet. Thank you, he whispers, for staying, for believing I could be something other than a ghost. You were never just a ghost. You were just scared and lonely and convinced you had to face everything alone. Selen traces her fingers along his jaw. But you don't. Not anymore. They stand together in the garden as petals fall around them. The estate is coming back to life. Staff members smile again. Laughter echoes through hallways that were silent for too long. The koi pond has been repaired, gardens replanted, bullet holes patched and painted over. The scars remain beneath the surface, always will. But healing is happening, slowly, imperfectly, but real. Scarface appears from the main house. Boss, the contractors are here about the West Wing renovations. Tai-Jin sighs. I'll be right there. He kisses Selen's forehead. Dinner at 7? I'll cook. You don't have to. I want to. Nigerian food. I'm teaching the kitchen staff my mother's jollof rice recipe. Tai-Jin smiles. Can't wait. He walks toward the house, still favoring his injured side slightly. Selen watches him go, this man who gave up his empire to build something better. This man who took a bullet for her. This man who's learning, day by day, how to be soft without breaking. She turns back to her canvas. The shadows still aren't quite right, but maybe that's okay. Maybe perfection isn't the point. She picks up her brush and keeps painting. But 6 months after the attack, Selen and Tai-Jin attend their first gallery opening together. It's her show, her work. 20 paintings displayed in a prestigious Seoul gallery that wouldn't have looked at her twice a year ago. Now critics and collectors crowd the space, studying her pieces with reverence. The paintings tell a story. Lagos to Seoul, loneliness to belonging, desperation to hope. The largest canvas dominates the back wall, a portrait of a man carved from shadows and light, simultaneously dangerous and gentle, monster and human. Tai-Jin stands in front of it for a long time. Is that how you see me? He asks quietly. Selen joins him. Sometimes. When you don't think anyone's watching, when you let your guard down. She takes his hand. That's the man I fell in love with, not the ghost, the human underneath. He doesn't respond, just squeezes her hand tighter. A critic approaches. Young woman with severe glasses and an iPad. Miss Adeyemi, or should I say Mrs. Kang, can I ask about the central theme of this collection? Selen considers. Survival. And what we become when we refuse to let circumstances destroy us. The violence in some pieces is quite visceral. Are they autobiographical? All art is autobiographical, whether we admit it or not. The critic makes notes. Your husband is Kang Tai-Jin, correct? The businessman? Selen feels Tai-Jin tense beside her. She squeezes his hand. My husband is the man who taught me that strength doesn't mean shutting people out, that being vulnerable is braver than being invincible, that love is choosing someone every day, even when, especially when, it's terrifying. She meets the critic's eyes. Yes, he's a businessman. He's also my partner, my best friend, the person who sees every broken part of me and loves me anyway. The critic smiles. Beautiful. I'll include that in my review. She moves on to the next guest. Tai-Jin looks at Selen with something that might be wonder. You didn't have to defend me. I wasn't defending you. I was telling the truth. Selen leans into him. Besides, you defended me first. Took a bullet for me, remember? Seems only fair I defend your reputation at a gallery opening. He laughs. Fair point. They circulate through the crowd. Selen answers questions about technique, inspiration, future projects. Tai-Jin stays close, a steady presence at her side. No longer hiding in shadows, no longer pretending to be untouchable. Just a man supporting his wife on one of the most important nights of her career. Near the end of the evening, an older Korean man approaches. Distinguished, expensive suit. He bows respectfully to Tai-Jin, then turns to Selen. Your work is extraordinary, he says in careful English. Raw, honest. The kind of art that changes how people see the world. Thank you. I represent the Seoul Museum of Modern Art. We'd like to discuss a solo exhibition next spring. Full retrospective. Are you interested? Selen's heart stops. The Seoul Museum of Modern Art, one of the most prestigious institutions in Asia, the kind of opportunity she used to dream about when she was sleeping on studio floors and painting in stolen hours. Yes, she breathes. Absolutely yes. The man smiles. Excellent. My assistant will contact you next week to discuss details. He bows again. Congratulations, Mrs. Kang. You're going to be very successful. He leaves. Selen stands frozen, processing what just happened. Tai-Jin wraps his arms around her from behind. Told you, extraordinary. Did that really just happen? Yes. I think I might pass out. Please don't. The gallery owner will never forgive me if my wife faints at her own opening. Selen turns in his arms, grinning like an idiot. We should celebrate. We are celebrating. I mean, really celebrate. Champagne, dancing, maybe some extremely inappropriate behavior in a very expensive hotel room. Tai-Jin's eyes darken with amusement and heat. I like the way you think, Mrs. Kang. They leave the gallery together. Seoul spreads before them, neon and noise and endless possibility. The city that tried to reject Selen, the city that nearly killed Tai-Jin, the city that became home despite everything. As they walk to the car, Selen thinks about how far she's come. The desperate woman who called a mafia boss 6 months ago. The terrified artist clinging to Tai-Jin's hand in an immigration office. The survivor who watched the man she loved nearly die. All those versions of herself still exist, still matter, still shaped who she is now. But she's something else too, something stronger, something that only exists because she refused to run when things got hard, because she chose love over safety, because she believed Kong Tai-Jin was worth fighting for. And he was, is, always will be. But 1 year after the attack, Selen wakes in the estate bedroom to find Tai-Jin already awake, watching her. "Creepy," she mumbles into her pillow. "You snore. I do not. Like a chainsaw." She throws a pillow at him. He catches it, grinning. The expression transforms his face, erases years of pain, reveals the man he might have been if life had been kinder. "What time is it?" Selen asks. "Early. Sun's barely up." "Then why are we awake?" "I couldn't sleep." Tai-Jin sits up, running a hand through his hair. "I keep thinking about today." Today. The anniversary. 1 year since the night everything changed. The estate is hosting a memorial. Not for enemies. For the guards who died defending it. The loyal people who gave their lives protecting Tai-Jin when they could have run. It's been a difficult year. Rebuilding, healing, learning how to move forward without forgetting the cost. Some wounds never fully close. Some scars run too deep. But they're here. Both of them. Alive. Together. Selen moves across the bed, wrapping herself around Tai-Jin. He holds her close, face buried in her hair. "I'm scared," he admits, "that I'll wake up one day and this will be gone. You'll be gone. That I'll be alone again." "Not going to happen." "You can't promise that. Watch me." Selen pulls back enough to look at him. "I'm not Yuna. I'm not going to shatter. I'm not going to leave. You're stuck with me, Tai-Jin, for better or worse. And considering we've already survived the worst, I'd say we're pretty much indestructible." He searches her face. "You really believe that?" "I really do." She kisses him softly. "Besides, I have a museum exhibition to plan. Can't very well do that if I'm not here." Tai-Jin smiles against her lips. "Good point." They stay in bed another hour. No urgency, no crisis. Just quiet intimacy. The kind of peace neither of them believed they'd ever find. Eventually, they get up. Selen puts on a simple black dress for the memorial. Tai-Jin wears a dark suit. They walk through the estate together, hands linked, preparing to face the ghosts of the past year. The memorial happens in the restored pear orchard. Families of the fallen guards gather beneath blooming trees. Tai-Jin speaks, short, honest words about sacrifice and loyalty and the cost of survival. His voice breaks once. Nobody judges. Selen adds her own words. Thanks the families for raising men brave enough to stand between danger and the people they loved. Promises the foundation will support them. Scholarships for children. Job placement for widows. Everything she and Tai-Jin can provide. It's not enough. Can never be enough. But it's something. After the ceremony, people linger, share stories. Remember, the atmosphere is heavy but not hopeless. Grief mixed with gratitude. Scarface approaches Tai-Jin and Selen as the sun sets. "Boss, Mrs. Kang." He bows slightly, old habit from the criminal days that nobody's quite broken him of. "I wanted to let you know, last of the old organization is officially dissolved. Everything's legitimate now, clean." Tai-Jin nods slowly. "How do you feel about that?" Scarface considers. "Relieved? Scared? Like I don't know who I am without the old structure." He pauses, but also hopeful. Like maybe we're building something better. "We are," Selen says. "One day at a time." Scarface smiles, rare expression on his weathered face. "You two are good together, balance each other." He glances at Tai-Jin. "She makes you human again, boss." "I know." "Good. Because for a while there, I thought we'd lost you."
Scarface's expression turned serious. After Yuna died, you became something cold, untouchable. I served you, respected you, but I didn't like you very much. Tai-Jin flinches. Honest. You wanted honest. Scarface looks at Selen. But she changed you, reminded you that being strong doesn't mean being alone. So thank you, Mrs. Kang, for saving him, for saving all of us. He bows again and walks away before Selen can respond. She looks at Tai-Jin. He's not wrong. I know. You were drowning, slowly, pretending you were fine while everything inside you died. I know. And now? Tai-Jin pulls her close. Now I'm learning how to breathe again. They stand together as the last guests depart. The pear orchard grows quiet. Petals drift through golden evening light. This place that witnessed so much violence now holds peace. Do you regret it? Selen asks. Choosing me over the Empire? Giving up everything your father built? Tai-Jin is quiet for a long time. When he speaks, his voice is certain. My father built an empire on blood and fear. It was always going to collapse. I just accelerated the process. He turns her to face him. But you're building something that lasts, art that moves people, a foundation that helps people, a life worth living. So no, I don't regret choosing you. I regret not choosing you sooner. Selen's eyes burn. Careful, keep talking like that and I might actually start to like you. Might? Okay, fine, definitely like you, possibly love you, maybe even adore you. Just maybe? She grins. Don't push your luck, Ghost of Gangnam. He kisses her there beneath the pear trees. No desperation, no fear, just love. Simple and complicated, hard-won and precious. When they break apart, the sun is setting behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and fire. The estate sprawls before them, no longer a fortress, now a home. They walk back together as darkness falls. Inside, the mansion glows with warm light, staff moving through rooms, laughter echoing from the kitchen where Selen's been teaching Nigerian recipes, life filling spaces that were empty for too long. Selen pauses at the entrance, looks back at the gardens, the pear orchard, the mountains beyond. What are you thinking? Tai-Jin asks. Tai-Jin, that I came here running from something, from Lagos, from failure, from myself. She turns to him. And I found you. Found home. Found the person I was always supposed to become. No regrets? About marrying a dangerous man with a violent past and more trauma than any human should carry? She pretends to consider. Not even one. Tai-Jin laughs. The sound is free, unguarded, everything he never let himself be before her. Come on, he says. I smell dinner. And if I know you, you've probably taught the kitchen staff something that'll burn my mouth off. It's called flavor. You should try it sometime. They enter the estate together. The door closes behind them. Seoul glitters in the valley below, city of neon and rain and endless possibility. Inside the mountain fortress, a former mafia boss and a displaced artist build their future. Not perfect, not easy, but real. And theirs. Some stories end with happily ever after. This one ends with simply after. After violence, after betrayal, after near death and resurrection, and learning that love isn't about finding someone perfect, it's about finding someone worth fighting for. Selen Kang paints in the mornings, runs her foundation in the afternoons, comes home to a man who still has nightmares but no longer faces them alone. Kang Tai-Jin builds legitimate businesses, attends therapy, slowly forgives himself for all the things he couldn't prevent and couldn't control. Together, they create something neither could have built alone. A life without rules, a love without conditions, a home that survived the worst and still stands, scarred but beautiful, broken but whole. And on quiet nights when Seoul sleeps beneath them, they sit together in the gardens and remember. The woman who came searching for salvation, the man who ruled through fear, the impossible deal that became the realest thing either of them ever knew. Do you remember our first rule? Tai-Jin asks, echoing that moment in the pear orchard so long ago. Selen smiles against his shoulder. Moonlight paints them in silver. Don't fall in love. Worst rule I ever made, he whispers. Best mistake you ever made. Yeah, He kisses her forehead beneath the Korean sky. Yeah, it was. The camera pulls away. The estate glows in the darkness. Mountains swallow the horizon. Seoul spreads below like a river of light. And somewhere in that fortress on the mountain, two survivors hold each other and prove that even the most broken people can build something beautiful, if they're brave enough to try, if they're strong enough to stay.
If they're foolish enough to believe that love, real love, is worth every scar it costs.